This is Virtua Fighter 10th Anniversary. This is on the North American disc of Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution under Options Special from the main menu of that game. And I got to set up some of my options here because it doesn't have any kind of save support, so you have to redo all your settings each time. Okay. Now this game is pretty much just a straight arcade mode. Let's set it to hard. It's got two preset sequences of enemies you can play through. You can play through just enemies from the first Virtua Fighter game, that's this VF1 route, or you can play characters from Virtua Fighter 1 through Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. And that's this Evolution route, so I'm planning to do both of them. We'll start with the old one, or the old school one. Virtua Fighter 10th Anniversary uses the characters and animations from Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, and it puts them into this arcade sequence that is sort of done in the style of the first Virtua Fighter game. And you'll see some pretty wacky stuff they kept or simulated from that game. And I just realized I forgot something, so I'm going to pause this and be back in a heart. And back. What I realized I forgot was a t-shirt to drape over the top of my screen here. You'll notice that, well, maybe you haven't noticed, but anyway, usually I record these videos in 60 frames per second, but for this game I only do 30 frames per second because there's this nasty flickering effect that some schmuck added to the health bar when it goes down. And it's this gross white and red flash at 60 frames a second. That is just sure to cause problems for people's eyeballs, at least it does for mine. So by recording at 30 frames per second, you don't see that flicker. I still see it because the game is 60 frames on my screen, so I just have to actually put a t-shirt over those health meters. Now, which leads to some funny results because I can't tell how much health the characters have left. So I'm here to play Lion, specifically the skateboarding college student. And he wears a life preserver and blue shorts, and if he looks like the VF1 model I unlocked in Virtua Fighter 4's Kumite mode the other day, this 3D low poly version of him looks really horrible. Oops, I don't want that. I'll just see, but they did add, oh, maybe I'll try the second, well, I'll do that next. So this life preserver one is pretty bad if it's like the one that unlocks in VF4.
Fight one. Ready?
Well, yeah, it's not great. It feels like they sped him up though.
Excellent.
The difficulty curve in this game is it starts off with, so I set it on hard in the options there, but I actually got hit. That was a disorienting camera move. Anyways, oh, that's what that is. What? Wow, they changed some of his throws, I think.
On the elderly.
Well, they made his VF1 costume look a little better than it did in Virtua Fighter 4. It was pretty horrific in Virtua Fighter 4. I'm never going to use it again. In Virtua Fighter 4, when you get to first Dan rank in Kumite mode, that automatically unlocks the the VF1 model for your character. And of course, characters like Lion weren't actually in Virtua Fighter 1. He didn't come along until Virtua Fighter 2, but they sort of simulated what he might have looked like if he had been created for Virtua Fighter 1 with the polygon limitations and everything, which is what this is supposed to be. And
Can you keep up with my speed?
it kind of looks like they smoothed him out a little here, so that's good because, yeah,
Fight one. Ready? Go!
Once you've unlocked them in Virtua Fighter 4, you access them in that game by holding punch and kick immediately after pushing the button to select your character on the character select screen. And then you can do that going into Kumite mode, for instance, and then you'll show up in Kumite in this crazy, blocky, low polygon version, fighting against the full sort of rounded PS2 style characters, and it's pretty weird. But those models actually look, unless they're horrific like Lion's was, they actually look really cool in that game because they've got the 3D lights on the stages shining on them, and so they kind of, the different surfaces, the different polygons of their body sort of glimmer and gleam like facets of gemstones or something. It's actually pretty cool. But if they're sort of horrifically modeled like Lion's was, and I guess it makes sense because, it was just some artist's idea of, okay, how would I make this in a lower polygon way, because they didn't actually have a Virtua Fighter 1 model. So I guess it figures that it came out kind of bad, and fortunately they did. Ooh. So I've cruised through to stage 4, and as I was saying, actually didn't get that far in saying it, but the game starts off really easy for about the first 3 stages, and then stage 4 is where you start to get some actual hits coming back at you, like so. So now's where I actually have to pay attention. Yes! If you look closely, you'll notice that they did cheat in this game, and they used textures. It's especially noticeable on the ground of the ring we're fighting on, which is not separate polygons for those different stones, but just a big texture. I guess that saved them some time in creating this simulation of Virtua Fighter 1. It's a little disappointing they didn't go full VF1 on it, but whatever. I guess. Other things that are Virtua Fighter 1 type rules are, well, for one thing, there's the crazy low gravity jumps that like Virtua Fighter 1 had, and then you also can't evade or sidestep by pushing up or down on the stick, which starting in, well, Virtua Fighter 4 would cause your character to step to the side and potentially evade an attack. They actually had evade in Virtua Fighter 3, but it was on a separate button, so you didn't use the joystick to do it. You press this 4th button, and thankfully they took that button out in 4 and incorporated it into the arcade stick motions. Oh boy. Wasn't so bad. But this is supposed to be Virtua Fighter 1 rules, so since Virtua Fighter 1 did not have evading, this game doesn't either, so you're stuck going forward and backwards. Some moves will take you to the side, and you can roll to the side like she just did there as you get up. So that's one way you can kind of try to get away from the edge of the stage if you're being pushed back. Well, I've been playing on sort of just feel, and sometimes that works, and then I tried stopping and thinking of doing an arbitrary move, that little mantis hit, or whatever the heck it is, and of course that backfired horribly. Uh-oh. Wow, that really launched her. Lion seems to me to be a really easy character to play, relatively speaking. He just,
I have no mercy on the elderly.
at least to do, you know, decently well with him, you don't really need to sit down and study a bunch of moves. He's just got some pretty effective moves just on basic, you know, up, down, left, and right with the stick and button presses. Change the animation on this kick a little bit, I think, from before.
Fight 2. Ready? Go!
Like that's just back plus kick, and he does this. Oh, maybe it's. Oh, it's back, kick, kick. My bad. I didn't ever realize that. Maybe they changed that. No, I guess that makes sense. But it's just really effective, and the CPU seems to have a hard time seeing it coming. It's interesting. That hit there is sort of pulling. He like pulls the enemy back. It's kind of strange. It's a weird thing to say, Lion, especially in this coronavirus environment we're in right now.
Fight 1.
You have to watch out for the elderly. Yikes.
Fight 2. Ready? Go!
I love that metal sound. Blong. Oh, this is not going well. Gosh. Just as I was trying to throw him, of course. Oh boy. That was brainless.
Yes!
Yes! My standing up game is still really stupid. Dang it, how can you evade Mantis Strike? Impossible! Oh, see, that back plus kick kick really has range. It's kind of ridiculous. And the CPU, like, I don't know, it's like they didn't program the CPU for quite as much range as it has. I also can't see the clock with this t-shirt blocking the... Oh, the eye was sneezing there. I didn't realize it would restart so fast. Man, you got me schooled this time. It's just back, kick, kick all day. Jeez, Lion. I do like how I'm wearing a life preserver, though. Like, this game doesn't have,
Ready?
Well, see, actually, that's interesting, come to think of it, because, of course, there's no water in this game. I wonder if maybe there's some stage that might be supposed to suggest water, but nothing actually looks like the stages are surrounded by water. But, of course, in Virtua Fighter 2, which is where Lion first showed up, there is Shun D's stage where you're on a big raft floating down a river. So in that case, you probably would want to wear a life preserver in case you get knocked the heck out and shoved into the water, as happens not infrequently. Or wait, can you actually get knocked? I think you can. Anyway, it looks like you could. Well, that went poorly.
Yes!
I should probably pay a little more attention to what I'm doing. Akira is the boss of this game, as you'll note it says final stage down there in the lower right. Oh, he evaded my kick. How can he do it? Boy. Really hard to throw. Uh-oh. I was getting worried that I was running out of room, and I tried to force the issue a few times there. Oh, he's too friggin' fast. Just don't turn around or anything.
Yes! Fight one. Ready? Go!
Jeez. Jeez, every time I try to throw him, he just throws me. There we go. Oh, what? Just teleports onto me. I mean, what? Come on.
Fight two.
Crazy.
Ready? Go!
Akira seems to me to have been gradually toned down as the series has gone on. By the time you get to Virtua Fighter 5, he's, at least as the CPU plays him, he's really not that scary. He's a little scary, but not really more so than any other character. But in 2, he's just horrible. Characters, I guess no character has a whiff animation, a whiff throw animation. That really bothers me in this game. I don't know, when I try to throw and, you know, I'm not within range or whatever, and nothing happens with my character, it just weirds me out. I want to see them try to grab and just, you know, grab air. Oh, God. Oh, my gosh. Just do nothing. Trying to throw. Don't animate the missed throw. No. Alright. Oh, why? Usually I don't really have that much trouble with Akira in this game even, but I guess... Well, for one thing, I'm basically surviving 2 attacks, and he seems pretty good at blocking both of them. Phew, that was a different attack. He hadn't seen that knee coming before. That was an accident, of course.
Ready? Go!
I don't know why I keep trying to kick him when I stand up. He hasn't fallen for that once. He refuses to get hit by my little jump kick. This is rough. Not doing this very cleverly.
Ready? Go!
Probably really just... Oh, I hate that. I never know what to do. Oh, man. So yeah, I was thinking if I just am patient and throw him, I can probably come out okay. I've not been patient. Sometimes you just have to know when to defend. Because Akira will come in on you. to throw, apparently. Oh, that was not a throw. Oh, that's a throw.
Time's up.
Oh, crung.
Fight
Crung.
Ready? Go!
I faked you out.
KO!
So this it's not actually the final stage.
Can you keep up with my speed?
It's the boss stage, but then there is the bonus stage,
Fight 1.
as it says in the lower right there. And this is where you fight the weird, goofy boss character. Oh, she's not the boss character. She's the bonus character, I guess. Dural. And Dural, according to Wikipedia, stands for a code that made her playable in the first Virtua Fighter game. That part I found out on GameFAQs. But, oh man, and that is, so she's an acronym for down, up, right,
2.
A button,
Go!
left. And if you did that, I guess on the character select screen, I don't know, in Virtua Fighter 1, that makes Dural playable. But that is also her name, D-U-R-A-L. Oh wow.
KO!
Cool. And it's a bonus stage, so if you get whooped, I used to be able to beat her, like, no problem. I don't know what.
Is this
I
all I got?
think it's because I've started jabbering into a microphone. You can't continue if she beats you. You just go straight to the end. It's not. It doesn't give you credits in this game. You just get to see a chronological timeline here of Virtua Fighter releases. And it's the same thing that happens if you beat her. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I used to like beating her. The background is kind of cool because it's actually showing the last strikes of each match that you won on your way to the end. And I think that comes from Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution arcade mode. I think I haven't actually gone and played that recently. Aw, thanks, Sega. So that was the VF1 route,
Game over.
and all those characters were characters who appeared in the first Virtua Fighter game. So, now I'm pretty sure if I hold start, it gives me a second costume. I'm pretty sure these second costume models were not unlockable in Virtua Fighter 4, so I don't know if those came along in Evolution. In Evolution, you can also get them in, well, it's no longer called Kumite in Evolution, it's called Quest Mode, but they're in they added shops, so you go into the shop to buy them, and they cost a lot of virtual money. It seemed like, so I don't know how long it would actually take to save up for them, but so it's not based on rank, I guess. It's just you just have to grind for the money. So I'm not sure if they have both costumes in that game or if they didn't add them until this game. But anyway, it's kind of nice to have a option.
Fight 1. Ready? Go!
Like these orange pants. Oh, Akira, you're suddenly much easier to beat. He's also wearing a different costume. It seems like to me.
Fight 2. Ready? Go!
I'm kind of playing this game just in going through my Virtua Fighter games for each character. So I've picked up Lion for the first time in this
Keep up with my speed?
trip back through Virtua Fighter for me. I last played Virtua Fighter games like 3 years ago, so
Fight 1.
I've been going through the characters. So I did Lion in Virtua Fighter 4, and now I'm doing him in 10th Anniversary. I'm not playing... That's so weird. I'm playing this instead of 4 Evolution, because Evolution has a flashing effect when you hit
Ready?
somebody, and it's kind of bright and irritating, so I'm just playing this one instead, which does not have flashy effects, except for that stupid health bar thing, but I can sort of block that out. But, and then after this with Lion, I'll go to
On the elderly.
Virtua Fighter 5 and play him in quest mode in that game, and then I'll go play him in special sparring in Virtua Fighter 4 or Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. And that's kind of a way to find out the differences with him in different games. I also have Virtua Fighter 2 that Sega released on PS3, which seems like a very good version of the game, but the only character I play in that is Jackie, because he's the only character who does not go through a stage that Sarah Bryant appears on that has a lot of flashing lightning in the background. I don't like them flashing effects. There's a quirk of that game, which is when Sarah and Jackie meet and face off, they don't play in their normal stages, they play in a sort of kind of like a back lot in Chicago. Supposedly it's Chicago. It's this very urban, concrete, rundown setting. There's like police sirens in the background and graffiti on the walls and stuff. And no flashing effects, so that's why I can play Jackie in that game, but not the other characters, because when they get up against Sarah, they fight in this sort of old Roman-style Colosseum with a lot of lightning flashes. But so that's why I would be playing Lion starting in Virtua Fighter 2, but I'm not going to do that because I have lightning to contend with. And I do have a Dreamcast, so I could play the Dreamcast version of 3, but that has a flashing effect stage as well. Also, the Dreamcast port is just not very good. I actually had it back in the day, and I didn't know anything about Virtua Fighter in particular in that game, but I did know that I was not... As soon as I booted that game up and tried to play it, I was just like, ugh.
Fight 3. Ready? Go!
Part of the problem there was that the first thing I'd ever seen for Dreamcast was Soul Calibur, and that game just, looked spectacular. Oh, I'm on stage 4, that's why this is getting a little not cakewalky. So once I've played through all the characters that appear in... Can you keep up? His voice is kind of weird in this game. Once I've gone through all the characters that appear in this game, I probably won't come back to it a whole lot, because, well, largely because of the whiff throw, the missing whiff throw animation thing just bugs me. But also because it's pretty limited in that you can only play through this two sequences of
Fight 2. Ready?
enemies in single player, and you know, that just gets repetitive, I suppose. Like if I just want, you know, if say I liked playing Lion in this game, but you know, I really only have two choices for enemies to face. I can play through the VF1 route, or I can play the Evolution route, and it's the same characters in the same order in each one. I mean, you know, the same characters every time in the Evolution route, and then the same different set of characters in the VF1 route every time. So.
Fight 1. Ready? Go.
And really, like, the first three stages, or those characters are essentially wasted because they're way too easy. Of course, I do have some expanding that I can do because I still have one more difficulty level. I'm playing on hard, but there's a very hard difficulty level. I'm not sure exactly how much harder it is. I've played it once or twice. I think I got through it once with somebody. Maybe I'm making that up. But I've been sticking with hard for the most part. Jeez. It's just a pretty decent level of challenge once you get past the first three stages anyway. Of course, it does vary by character a little bit, and my ability with them, because I don't know what I'm doing with any of these characters. I had a terrible time with, who the heck was it I was just playing? Was it Allie? No. Yes. I had a horrible time with Allie. She's a complicated character, and I'm not a complicated player, so that was rough.
Ready? Go!
Well, and they also nerfed what I relied on for her in Virtua Fighter 4 pretty hard, so I was not handling that very well. Also had a lot of trouble with Vanessa in this game.
Fight 2. Ready?
And they nerfed Vanessa pretty hard in Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution too, so I guess that's an excuse I could use. Lion, though, has been pretty much same reliable, annoying dude since Virtua Fighter 2, though, so just keep on keeping on, Lion.
Mercy on the elderly.
God, you're a real jerk, though, with that win quote. No mercy on the elderly.
Fight 1.
I mean, of course, he's
Ready?
joking and calling his opponent elderly. Of course, if he did fight Shun, that would just be hurtful because Shun is a pretty old dude. Would not be. I wonder if he actually says that to Shun. I wasn't paying attention. But it does make him sound like a jerk, taken in a non-jokey context. I mean, kind of a jerky thing to say anyway.
2. Ready?
But I guess that's his thing. He's French, which you wouldn't know from his voice, his accent. So Go here is actually the boss. You'll see this says final stage, like it said for Akira. Go first appeared in Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, and so did Brad Burns, who was just before this. So they're the last two characters chronologically, which is why they're the last two characters in the Evolution route. But then you've still got the bonus round against... Man, I just kind of smoked through the Evolution route. Probably because it doesn't have Lau or his daughter, Pai, who I have been having trouble against lately.
Go!
Sheesh. Ugh. Oh, there's that throw. I actually knocked somebody out of the stage in Kumite with that. I thought it really saved my bacon. Oh, when did she stop attacking? Now, Doral obviously uses attacks from other characters. She doesn't have her own, and I just can't... I can't beat her lately. It's fun. Actually, I think I'm trying to throw her too much because if I remember right, oh, well, I don't think I used to play on hard. That's probably the problem. I used to play on normal when I was when I was first playing this game, so yeah. On hard, she is a real handful. On normal, you can kind of just hit her, and she doesn't defend very well. At least that's how it was going for me. On hard, she definitely turns it up. But, yeah, I probably won't come back to this game too much once I've gone through it with all the characters on hard. I was really excited about it at first because when I first tried getting back into Virtua Fighter here a couple months ago, I didn't like evades or sidesteps, and I hadn't really known about this game. I mean, I had it back in the day, but I sort of wrote it off immediately as just a little gimmick. But because it's trying to imitate Virtua Fighter 1, it doesn't have sidesteps, so I thought, oh my gosh, this is the perfect Virtua Fighter for me. It's got, you know, characters and moves from animations from a later game. It has a lot of cool stuff, cool moves and characters, but it doesn't have sidestepping. It's perfect, but it's pretty limited, and it's got annoying things like the big low-gravity jumping and the lack of throw whiff animations, which seems like a small thing, but it really throws me off. It's really starting to bother me. And then it's just pretty limited with 2 fixed runs through arcade mode.
Game over.
Well, evolution route, a lot easier than VF1 route for me lately. Still can't... I think I beat Doral once or twice on hard, but yeah, it's getting smoked with Doral on those bonus stages. So that's it. Good old Lion, dependable as ever. Sort of now ageist against old people, but you know, we always knew he was kind of a jerk. So the next step for me in these Virtua Fighter games will be Lion in what's it called? What's it called? Quest mode of Virtua Fighter 5. And yeah, should be a hoot and a half. I can't believe I said that. I'm gonna edit that part out. Don't pay attention to that part. So I hope you enjoyed this sort of mashing through 10th anniversary, and maybe you'll join me next time. I would like that, but even if you don't, thanks for watching. Thonk.